everyone out there. Thank you for watching a live edition of the Esports Football Podcast. I am Fidel Barraza. Alongside with me, like always, Kendall Whitley, Jerry Martinez. Gentlemen, how are you?
Great, couldn't be better.
Man, I'm just it's I think it was 85 days, right, until the start of the NFL season, I believe.
Yeah, we're getting closer. I believe
Getting
it's 82. I
closer.
could be wrong. So
And we're about what, a month away from training camp, so getting closer to more storylines as we move forward in the next couple of weeks.
yes, and with that being said, we did have some breaking news earlier today as far as retirement. Rob Gronkowski has decided to retire from the NFL for the second time. A lot of people were speculating he was going to be back with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, but he's decided to retire.
I mean, when we look at this, it's one of those things, man. I saw it, I saw it earlier, and then I saw ESPN report it. Obviously, you always want to trust, the good sources, so to say. But then we see Drew Rosenhaus kind of teasing that he's not ready. So, I mean, man, this offseason was kind of a crazy offseason with players, I mean, literally switching teams, going against the contract that they agreed to. Most notably, Randy Gregory, when he had already agreed with the Cowboys, and then he flipped the script and went with the Broncos. So, when with all that set aside, I, I think it's never one of those things that's a for sure thing, especially with the relationship that Tom Brady has with Rob. But man, Rob, I would have to say Rob has been one of the best tight ends that we've had the pleasure of watching over the years. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Maybe if he sees that the Bucks are doing good, maybe in the middle of the season, maybe he wants to jump back into the mix. So we'll see. A lot is still on the table for Rob.
Yeah, I mean the big question is he really done, or will he come back mid training camp after a few weeks during the season, maybe for a playoff run? We don't know, but something tell me he's not done yet. Especially if Tom Brady has something to say about it. He's probably not done yet. We just have to wait and see. I know his agent Drew Rosenhaus came out and teased maybe he might not be done or whatnot. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. I think Gronk's one of those guys. He reminds me of Brett Favre a little bit. You just don't never know what he's going to do. So we just have to wait. It's take a wait and see approach on it. And I got a feeling we're about mid-season. Tampa, their tight ends right now is what, Cameron Brate. I don't know who's behind Brate. I know they lost OJ Howard to Buffalo, so they didn't feel the need during the draft. They brought in Russell Gage. They lost AB. Godwin's coming off the injury. They still have Mike Evans. So I believe they still have Brashard Perriman as well. So that Tampa offense is they're not as strong offensively. I feel as last year. They lost Ronald Jones as well. So and then also with the offensive line, it's in, I wouldn't say shambles, but it's kind of reshuffled a bit because they lost a guard there. So we'll see what happens there. But I think Gronk's coming back. We ain't seen the last of Gronk yet.
I think he's retired. I think he's not going to come back. I think all the physical play has gone to his body, and that's probably one of the reasons why he's deciding to retire at this point. I mean, it is kind of late, I guess. Everyone was assuming he was going to be back. I mean, people were dropping hints left and right, including Tom Brady. People was thinking that Rob was going to be back. So, hey, look, Robert Gronkowski is arguably the best NFL tight end of all time, and he's got the numbers to back it up. And the game is for sure going to miss him. All right. With that being said, we did have some other breaking news as well earlier today. Deshaun Watson has reached confidential settlements with all but 4 civil lawsuits that were filed against him, according to attorney Tony Busby. Now, that leads to us. Look, Deshaun's going to get suspended. Question is, for how long? A lot of people are saying it'll be a year. More than I think it's going to be the whole season with everything that's going on. Now, with that being said, you still have Baker Mayfield there in Cleveland. And you do have Jacoby Brissett. But, I mean, there's been speculations that the Browns are willing to pay half of Baker's salary for him to be traded. So my question to you guys is, who is going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns week 1?
Man, I think we'd have to go with Jacoby Brissett. I think that I mean, they did bring in, well, they brought in what, 2 quarterbacks, I think, in the offseason, the Browns. And Jacoby Brissett, I think, from all of them has, actual NFL starting experience, right? And the only thing is that, well, it didn't look like it worked out when he was with the Dolphins. and it didn't look like it worked out when he was with the Colts. And I saw a report recently that the Browns were willing to pay Baker's salary to be able to move him. So whatever the case is, Baker's not playing, so he's not going to be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, regardless of what happens with Deshaun Watson. I think that bridge is burnt without repairs.
Interesting, man, because they brought in Deshaun Watson this year for the Browns to make a playoff run and make a difference there in Cleveland. So this might be a lost season year one. It might be with everything that's still going on. Those things that happened to him in Houston, they're still there. So he's not back to normalcy yet. So we're just gonna have to see on that. Maybe the elephant in the room, Baker Mayfield, maybe he might hang around for the most of the year or something like that. I know it's gonna be awkward. We got training camp coming in about a little less than a month. I don't think the Browns want that hovering over them like a cloud. I think they want to be done with this situation and let's roll with Jacoby Brissett. And he's a proven starter, whatnot. Came in with the Patriots, played some with the Colts and the Dolphins or whatnot. I think he's a pretty good backup. And Cleveland got some weapons there with Amari Cooper. They re-signed David. They gave David and Njoku a new contract. They drafted Bell out of Purdue. So they still got Donald People-Jones. They got some players there, and you know what they got? They good up that physical, big offensive line with Chubb and Kareem Hunt there. So I do think that Cleveland, they're in position to be okay without Watson, but they're definitely better with Deshaun Watson. Nobody's scared of Jacoby Brissett. Nobody's really scared of Baker Mayfield. That's why they're trying to get rid of him. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, the whole situation, right? Cleveland spent a lot of money to get Deshaun Watson there. And they brought in Jacoby Brissett, but obviously not to be the starter, but to be the backup. They've been trying to get rid of Baker Mayfield. There hasn't been an offer or a team that I guess that's willing to take, him on just because maybe character issues, personality wise. I just can't see Baker Mayfield being a backup, but I'm going to play devil's advocate. So let's just say Deshaun Watson gets suspended for the whole year. You're Baker Mayfield. Why not play the whole year and take this team to the playoffs and maybe deep into the playoffs and rise your stock for a new team next season?
Like you said, he is coming off of an injury, so it is a good debate. I just think that Baker wears his emotions. He wears his heart on his sleeve. This is not a good situation. I think the Browns kind of muffed the situation early in the process. I think, man, the only thing that's unfortunate is, when it comes to these kind of legal issues, I personally, I don't like talking about another man's legal issues, but I just think that the NFL kind of like muffed this situation too, because if we go back and last year, literally, he suited up for all. He basically was, I believe, Texans. He was a healthy scratch every week for the Texans. Yeah. So it's unfortunate that, pretty much he was already suspended by the Texans last season. So this is going to have to go through another, lengthy process. So, this is the only thing that the NFL needs to fix ASAP. And that's addressing, any kind of concerns or not concerns, but anytime there's a legal issue, the NFL needs to do a better job of doing their due diligence, because for a New York Times, and I believe it was a young woman from New York Times who was able to put out more details and more stories and more explanations into these stories than anybody in the NFL. And you're talking about a multi-billionaire, not billionaire, but a multi-billion-dollar company. You mean to tell me that somebody from the New York Times was able to get more information than the NFL? So that person is more powerful with the information. So this should have been handled a lot faster, a lot more swift, because the Browns gave up a lot of money and they gave up a lot of draft capital. And it's unfortunate because, when you want, the legal situation, right? You always want it to be, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? That's number one. Number two is, okay, like, gather your information, make a decision, and then go ahead from there, take action. I mean, you can't prolong somebody's career. I mean, we're every year, not only me, not only you, not only Kendall, but all these football players are getting older as every year passes. So I just think that, me personally, I'm kind of upset how the NFL handled this. I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying NFL, has done a great job as far as taking lead and taking charge, especially during the whole COVID. Hey man, they did a great job with COVID, testing every player, doing all that stuff. But why, when it comes to something like this, the NFL sits on it and literally just sits on it?
I mean, look, Deshaun Watson kind of put himself in this situation. So I
Yeah,
mean,
very, very well said. But that's why I said I'm not taking sides. Just saying we could have had this thing resolved a lot faster.
he-
Um,
go
Well,
ahead, Kendall.
on the Baker Mayfield front, back to football, whatnot. If he does end up with the Panthers? How much better do y'all feel he makes them? Are they a
Well,
playoff team? Or
well,
are they better than last year?
here's the thing. So this was the other scenario that I was thinking of. So let's just say Deshaun Watson does get suspended for the whole season. Look, we know that I believe they tried to trade Sam Darnold. They were thinking about cutting Sam Darnold. So why not flip quarterbacks if it's doable, if it's reasonable as far as salary goes? You're gonna have Sam Darnold be the starting quarterback for the Browns next season coming up.
Man, that's a tough situation because didn't they already pay Sam Darnold too? His fifth
It,
year option.
I'm not honestly. I don't know what the numbers would be. I'm just kind of throwing it out there because to me it would make sense just because they want to groom Corral. So Baker Mayfield goes in as a starter, and whatever happens in the NFC South happens, and I could potentially see the Panthers being better with Baker Mayfield instead of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and he's gonna be back from injury and a good offseason of rehabilitation too. So I think you'd have to be right because honestly, when we saw Baker before last season, obviously last season playing hurt, he didn't look like the previous Baker. But you give Baker a good running game and some weapons, and he can make things happen, man. And I think like the Panthers are already kind of in that mold. I can't say they have the best offense in one of the top offenses and offensive lines in the NFL, but they do have Christian McCaffrey. The only thing with McCaffrey is, can he stay healthy?
And that's the other question too for the Panthers this offseason. I mean, going into his Christian McCaffrey going to be able to sustain his body to go through the punishment for a full NFL season.
I'll tell you this. This is a story for another day, but I think that this is the last time that we are going to see any running back make more, make these type of contracts that Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Ezekiel Elliott were able to cash in. I just don't see NFL. I just don't see that the NFL is, the coaches in the NFL are seeing the success that like Kyle Shanahan is able to have with literally like fifth round or undrafted free agents, and look at it, he's not paying them anything. So more money into impact players, whether it be your offensive line, defensive line. So there's still a lot to prove with these with this season and next season with those names that I just mentioned.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense if they were to make the move. If the money makes sense, I mean, I think I would rather play Sam Darnold than Jacoby Brissett.
Let me ask you this. So you said you rather play Darnold than who?
Than Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett. Hmm. Interesting.
Now, keep in mind, Sam is going to have probably more weapons than what he's ever had.
So you're saying Baker Mayfield to the Panthers, but in return, give me
Sam Darnold.
give me Sam
If it's
Darnold.
doable with the money.
I like
That
that.
yeah, you know what? I have not even seen that even reported. So that's actually a good. It's actually a good. It's actually good. I mean, they both came from the same draft class. I think Darnold was right after Baker Mayfield in the draft, right?
Yeah.
So so I think that Sam Darnold can hold down a team for at least half a season for sure.
I think it can too. And again, Sam Darnold does not have the talent than what the Browns have around Baker Mayfield right now.
Correct. And if you look at what, we've talked to Coach Hugh Jackson in the past, he said, hey, this coach has done a good job. Why? Because he kept the ball out of Baker's hands and he gave it to the running backs. And look at these running backs, Kareem Hunt and
Nick Chubb.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
they've been able to put up some good seasons. I think that this is a good story, man. I mean, I have not even heard anybody even attempt to, even I haven't even seen a story mentioned about a Baker and Sam Darnold swap, but that would be kind of crazy. I think that could work out, and that could actually help out the Browns and help out the Panthers in the process. Like you said, Matt Corral kind of helps groom Matt Corral, but give
Yep.
you still that edge you need to maybe perhaps make a run to I don't want to say it's hard because you have Tom Brady coming back. You have a Saints defense that's super tough.
Yeah.
And then with all the offensive weapons that they have coming back, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, hopefully, right? Because we haven't seen Michael Thomas play in what, two seasons now?
And it's supposedly he's not progressing the way that he thought he was from a report I read earlier last week. Not to say he's not going to play this season coming up. He probably will, but they got to kind of ease him in. They can't just throw him in there. And I think Chris Olave is going to definitely help out with that, and Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Olave was a fun prospect to watch last year and the year before that. So I think that this fresh blood that they're bringing in, I think it's going to be good. But I still don't see, even if they get Baker, I still, man, if we had to rank the South, let's say
it's hard. It's a hard division. I mean, look, Atlanta's going through a rebuild, so they would be the last in my opinion.
They would be last in my opinion too. So, but I would still, man, it's kind of hard, man. I would have to flip a coin. I mean, with like you said, Rob Gronkowski came up with some clutch plays last offseason. Clutch plays that the Buccaneers needed, for wins. The Saints, we really didn't see the best because they lost Jameis early with the injury. Now Jameis is back. If he can stay healthy, get Alvin Kamara going, give Chris Olave the ball, and that Saints defense, Saints look good, man. Tampa is, we can't count them out. They got Tom Brady, still the GOAT.
I like what Tampa did this offseason as well. So I still pick them to win the division, even though they've had a really hard time playing the Saints.
Yeah,
with Tom Brady as a quarterback. But I do expect the Bucs to win this division.
Yeah, I think they're last season, right? The Saints got their number twice, right?
Yeah.
Man, wow. I had not heard Sam Darnold for Baker. That's a good
and
one.
Again, I don't know if the numbers make sense, the salary cap, because I really haven't looked into it. It was just a thought that popped in my head. Both teams essentially get what they want. Carolina doesn't want Sam Darnold anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
Mayfield doesn't want to be with Cleveland anymore. He's got 1 year left on his contract. You let him play in that contract and let him go into the free agency. And hopefully his stock goes up.
Yeah, and like you said, Darnold is not a diva at all. You know what I mean? Darnold, like you said, he's always had that blue collar mentality, man. So who knows, man? I mean, it probably work out for both teams. You never know, man. And that's something that I think that we need to write an article about soon. You know what I mean?
And I mean,
we're playing Madden, but we're playing Madden the right way, right?
And here's the other thing too. I mean, Sam Darnold's not going to get a starting job in the NFL anywhere else.
True.
Unless a quarterback gets hurt or a quarterback gets suspended, which in Cleveland, more than likely, Deshaun Watson is going to be suspended the whole season.
Well, I don't know. If Baker doesn't go to Panthers at all, he's going to be the starter for the Panthers.
Well, we'll see. All right. That's going to wrap up this quick show. Just wanted to hop on here and give you guys some thoughts on the whole Deshaun Watson situation, Gronk, and of course, the Cleveland starting quarterback position. With that being said, thank you everyone out there for watching and listening. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.